Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? What's going on, everybody? So sorry about the tardiness here. There's an issue going on with StreamYard, the platform that I use to go live and make videos, and it was kicking me out the entire time. It wasn't an internet thing or anything like that. So hopefully, it's stable enough to get us through this episode. We're talking today about the Raiders, and are they the NFL's most improved team? Um, I've heard a lot of different variations of this. If you go from really bad to which we only had 4 victories last season, to 6, 7, 8, that's double, right? So that's, you doubled your win total. That's a big victory, right? But we want to take a look at this more in the scheme of how are they set up this year for winning, and also how are they set up in future years for success. Um, I think that's a more telling uh, um, definition of uh, improvement, right? You can all have those fluky years. Like even when we went to the playoffs, there was a lot of things that went into play there when we went to the playoffs, and we just went right back to where we were the next season. Can this success, can this improvement, can the turnaround be sustained? Does it have that sustainability and that foundation for growth? We're going to get to all that. Before we do, want to make sure everyone please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. That's an excellent way to support. It's absolutely free to do, and it's the minimum you can do to support besides doing nothing and just watching the video, which, of course, I do appreciate that. Also, guys, if you have any comments, any questions, anything like that, anything you want to get brought up, and you wanted to get highlighted on the show, please go ahead and drop a super chat. Those are open for you. And let's get started, man. Okay, so let's take a look at this season, and then we'll take a look at seasons to come. We had a lot of work to do. I think we had one of the worst coaching staffs overall in the NFL. I think last season we had one of the worst quarterback rooms, one of the worst running back rooms. Um, I would even say one of the worst wide receiving cores. Because if you take away Devonta Adams, who didn't really play that last season, uh, you know, it was pretty bad. Defensively, I think we were okay. I think we had some spots that were just mediocre. We had a really good defensive line, and we saw that the first few weeks of the season. But definitely some room for improvement. And I think it would be more responsible for us as fans to really take a look at what we actually were last season, and why we lost as many games as we did. Ultimately, I think we just lacked a lot of talent, continuity, and just cohesion. I think a lot of people, some people were pulling in different directions. I don't know how in lockstep, um, Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce were. It seems like Antonio Pierce was trying to get going right away and winning right away, whereas Tom Telesco was kind of like, let's take a slower roll, let's build. One of the more telling things about that is how Antonio Pierce last season was preaching running the football and being a run-heavy offense, and then Tom Telesco lets Josh Jacobs walk in free agency, but still has like $30 million in cap space that he didn't spend. He could have afforded Josh Jacobs. He could have afforded him. So that didn't really mesh. So at the top, you have a little bit of a kind of a difference of opinion, a difference of philosophy. Whereas this season, I think you see a much more of a lockstep between Pete Carroll and John Spytek. There's much more of a marriage or a mesh of different ideals. Of course, the coach is going to want to win right away. And, I'm not saying that John Spytek does not want to win right away, but there's a certain point that he won't cross in order to win right away. He's not going to mortgage his future of the team in order to win right now, or the chance to win right now. Also, you take a look at, you know, what we had as far as the coaching staff. We talked about that a little bit. The coaching staff just wasn't very good. And I think that there was so many coaches, there were so many people there that really weren't doing much of anything. That were on a payroll that were just kind of like, it's like if you have a room full of bosses, and the guy who's supposed to be the ultimate boss is the least experienced out of all of them. Who are you going to turn to for the advice that you get? You're going to have so many people giving you so many different ideas. You're going to be pulled in so many different directions. It just didn't make a lot of sense. You had a lot of hangers on that were getting paid by the organization that really weren't adding a lot of value, and that showed on the field. It showed with in-game decision making. It showed with decision making when it came to rosters. It just wasn't very cohesive. It was just a lot of too many bodies, too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. If I can still say that now. One of the differences that we're seeing this season, that's a huge difference, is there is a direct hierarchy leading up to the head coach. And I think the fact that Pete Carroll, being the oldest head coach in the NFL, has such a record of winning and knowing what he's doing, no one's really going to question him as far as the decisions that he makes. So that's a big plus, a big positive. You're going from probably the worst coaching staff in the NFL, if not the worst, one of the. You go from there to a Hall of Fame head coach, and a Hall of Fame head coach who has a track record of bringing in a lot of really good coaches to teach and uplift the team. So that's a huge positive right away. Before you even talk about players, the coaching staff is a huge step up from what we've had in previous seasons. Massive, massive step up. I would even say a massive step up from the Gruden staff. I think the staff itself, not just John Gruden, but the staff itself, is much better now than it was back then. Okay. On top of that, you take a look at the more clarity and the just more talent in certain positions. The quarterback position, we're going to start there. Geno Smith is the unquestioned starter. He's better than any quarterback we've had for quite some time. Depending on how you feel about Derek Carr, Geno Smith could be the best quarterback we've had in 20 years or more. Who knows? On top of that, he brings more stability to the franchise, and he has the trust and confidence of the coaching staff, the ownership, the GM, everything. So that can't be understated either. Okay, let's move on from the quarterback to the running back. Again, running back along with quarterback, along with the coaching staff, was probably one of the worst in the NFL, if not the worst total in totality. You had a career backup in Alex Madison who was thrust into a starting role. He did okay in certain spots, but he just wasn't the kind of guy who was going to be able to make things happen on his own, and be more than what was given to him. A lot of these running backs, they don't have to be blocked perfectly, and they'll still make things happen. Alexander Madison, unfortunately, didn't have that extra gear. Zamir White showed that he didn't have that extra gear either. And then you had, Sincere McCormick, who was a career, not special teamer, but a career practice squad guy who got, vaulted up into the starting role, and he did pretty well for himself, then got hurt. Then you have a career like third down back who ended up getting a 100-yard season. So in Amir Abdullah, this running back room just fell way short of what was needed, and ultimately really fell way short of what it should have been, considering the mindset of Antonio Pierce as head coach, and his philosophy of running the ball, and the fact that we had so much cap space left over that wasn't used, that could have been used on Josh Jacobs to keep him around. Moving into this season, I think we have a very good running back room. This is a huge if. Now, even without Raheem Mostert, I think this is a much improved running back room just with Ashton Jeanty himself. You put Ashton Jeanty in there, and you bump everyone up back one. I think it's an amazing play. I think he's an amazing player. I think the Raiders are really going to just run him, and they're gonna win and lose on the legs of Ashton Jeanty and what he can do. On top of that, if it's a huge if now, if we get a Raheem Mostert that it's anywhere near what he was 2 years ago when he scored 21 touchdowns. It's only 1 year removed from that. So in 2023, he scored 21 touchdowns. He had a rough season in 2024 with injury. But if he's back to anywhere near where he was in 2023, we have ourselves a very good running back room. If not, probably maybe one of the best, depending on how things shake out. So you have two huge improvements in the coaching staff, in the running back room, and in the quarterback room. So these are massive improvements. On top of that, there is I would say a hopeful improvement at receiver. Now, is it an improvement from what we had in the beginning of the year last year? I don't think so. I think Devontae Adams is still clear-cut the best receiver out of anyone that we can mention who's on the team now, on the team last year. But I think the overall depth of talent is much better now than it has been in recent years. The emergence of Brock Bowers as the top target is definitely something that's going to be, especially now that you know what he is from the very beginning of the season, you can game plan around him. You don't have to change things throughout the season for him. You can start day one feeding him the ball. On top of that, we talked about the depth of talent. Jack Besh in the second round. You have Dante Thornton in the fourth round. You have Tommy Millott in the sixth round, who's probably going to be more of a special teams guy, but he's still going to be on the roster. On top of that, you get just a resurgent Michael Mayer. You get a Jacoby Myers who has much more confidence coming off of a 1,000-yard season. So you put all that together, this offense should be much better. And we did talk about the coaching staff. So Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator, probably the best offensive coordinator we've had in decades, in 10, 20, 30 years even maybe. The thing that we're taking a look at here is, yes, they had a long way to go. The Raiders had a long way to go from last season. But with all of the turmoil, with having the worst coaching staff, one of the who's to say who was the worst? We had definitely had the worst rushing yardage per game last season. We had the worst. That was the worst, and probably the worst quarterback room and a underproducing offensive line and a really bad receiving core. Put all that together, along with a supremely injured defense and compromised defensive line. On top of that, you put all that together, all those negatives, all those terrible rooms and coaching staffs and all that together. This team was still within one score. I believe it was 11 games last season. And there was a 12th game that was, it was 7, sorry, 11-7. It was 7 games, and also an 8th game that was a very low-scoring, tight game. That was the Atlanta game. I think it was 12-3, just a bunch of field goals being kicked. So you add that together. Now, if the Raiders win half of those, that's without even any change to the personnel. If you just put this coaching staff with last year's team, I say we win at least half of those games that we were within one score of in the fourth quarter. So that right there by itself is doubling your win total just by having a better coaching staff with the same talent we had last season. But, of course, we have a lot more talent now. On the defensive side, I think a lot of the swaps were even swaps, right? You lose Hobbs, but you get, Stokes. You lose the linebackers, but you get, 2, 3 linebackers that are really good. Pratt, Roberts, and White. I mean, even Smith, if he comes back healthy. You got a lot of linebackers coming in that are healthy, productive players. In the second, you lose Epps and you lose Merrick, but you got the stepping up of Polamalu and you got Chin. There's also, Lonnie Johnson Jr. and a couple other guys out there that we got. So I think the defense coming back healthier from last season is what we're looking at as far as they're going to be better just because they're healthy. I think the people that we lost and the people that came in are about the same. I think the offensive line is going to be good. And I think that just the young influx of talent is going to start, this season with, we had 11 draft picks, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if 9, 10 of those guys made the roster, no problem. So we're taking a look at overall, what are we looking at here? How improved is this team, and how can you look back and realistically, what can you say? I don't think that 10 wins is out of the realm of possibility. And here's why. Quarterback play is so much more important than anything else in the NFL. This is why I understand and I really like having Brock Bowers as our tight end. But it was a huge failure by Telesco to not get one of those top quarterback options. It was a huge mistake to not do that. On top of that, you get if you would have just put Geno Smith at quarterback last year and this coaching staff with the talent that we had last year, we would have won many more games, a handful more at least. You put that now in this season, a rejuvenated team, a healthier defense, more talent in a lot of different areas, and the mindset from the very beginning that Pete Carroll is going to take this team, and the belief that they have, not just the belief that this guy can do it, like Antonio Pierce, or he can lead us. He's shown that he's pretty good. I know for a fact Pete Carroll can lead us there because he's done it in multiple different places. I'm seeing a couple of things, concerns about Polamalu, concerns about Wilkins. Ultimately, I think Polamalu has shown over a long stretch of play that he's definitely a guy that you can count on in the back end. On top of that, as far as Wilkins goes, I think Adam Butler really showed out last season to be a guy that can be counted on. He really had no help on the inside, and he had his best season of his career. So there's a couple other guys. There's Jonah Loahu, who came in and he played really well. There's what's his name? Folky. I forget his name. The guy that we got from the Cardinals. He's a freaking massive defensive tackle. These are all upgrades from last season. The two rookies, Tonka and JJ Pegues, those guys are very similar in play to Christian Wilkins. They're slasher types. Again, I'm going to say it again. I don't know if you guys want to get tired of hearing it, but they're not stack and shed guys. Okay, stack and shed guys are a lot stouter, bigger guys. These are not. These are like slasher type guys to get into the backfield. Well, it's not a super chat, but I'm going to address this. Eight wins. If they win 10 to 11, then Pete should get Coach of the Year. Carmine, I'm going the big ragu. I'm telling you straight up. With the worst coaching staff, quarterback room, running back room, one of the worst receiving cores, a supremely injured defense, with all that going against this team last season, with the 13 games that they lost, they were within one score to start the fourth quarter, 8 of those games that they lost. You're telling me with all these improvements that we can't get more than 4 wins than we had last season? I don't know, man. I think it's going to be more than that for sure. And it's just something that you got to take a look at it from that perspective. This game of the NFL, even if you're a bad team, it's a lot of times they're 1-score games, and a lot of times that comes down to coaching and execution. So if you have a much better coaching staff, which we do, and you have a much better player leading the offense, like we do, and we have better players that are healthy on the defense, definitely going to be, I think, more than 8 wins for sure. Thanks for the comment, though. Yeah, dude, I keep forgetting his name, Kevin. I keep forgetting the dude's name, but I watched him play and he's good. And I can't, for whatever reason, it's like a mental block with me with his name. But whatever. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Kevin Lurker with the super chat. Let's see what we got going here, Kevin Lurker. Thank you very much. Do you have a comment, sir? Keep grinding, Soto. Much appreciated, man. I'm trying to put it on the screen, but I'm on my phone and it won't let me. But thank you very much, man. Much appreciated. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It's an easy way to support. It's free to do, and it's the minimum you could do to support besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which, of course, I do appreciate. Guys, if you want to get more content, I put daily content up, original, organic, daily content on Raiders versus the World, so you can check me out there as well. And thanks for watching, guys. Next time, everybody, peace.